So I'm here at the 2018 SIHH with the guy who I came to see, who every year to me does things that define the history of modern watchmaking, and that's Richard Mille. And I think, and I've said it before, that future watch historians are going to define watches into two eras: the era before Richard Mille and the era after. Richard doesn't just create timepieces, he creates dreams, and he creates also the ultimate performance machines. There was no such thing as a real sports watch before Richard came onto the scene. When he took tourbillons, he took complicated watches, strapped them to the wrists of the most elite athletes in the world, like Rafael Nadal, the most brutal tennis player in the world, who incidentally, while wearing Richard Mille, went on to win countless Grand Slams. I think the first year he wore it was 2010, and he won the Wimbledon, the Australian Open, and the French Open. And as of last year, has re-achieved the world #1 status, always with the Richard Mille on his wrist, And I think it was Richard's ambition to show that there could be no compromise between the most complicated watch in the world and the ultimate performance machine. Is that correct, Richard?
Totally correct, my dear. No, in fact, it's true. I always thought that it was important for any brand to be open to the universe of sports, lifestyle, women, art, and not to remain in the ivory tower contemplating the world.
Yes.
Because every time you speak about those universe, you have so many different fields of creation, developments.
Right.
It never stops.
Sure.
And one idea brings another, and then.
Yes.
So we are a young brand, but I am always proud to say that we are by far, and I am sure of that, the brand that has got the best experience in the world.
Absolutely.
In terms of performance, in terms of materials, in terms of lightness, shock resistance, everything. Because we are not afraid, as I say always, to go to the battlefield.
Yes.
So I always say, and what I love is that because there is a contradiction between the world that has a reputation to be very fragile,
Sure.
the world of extreme complications,
Yes.
and the daily use where you put everything in danger.
Of course.
But at the end, it works.
Absolutely.
Because when you see here, we display Pablo's X-rays,
Yes.
because I think it doesn't have a bone that hasn't been broken.
Sure.
But the watch that he wears resisted to everything. And when you imagine, I mean, a polo ball, on the side, a polo ball going at 230 kilometers
Yes.
per hour, going on you, then it makes, as you have seen on his skull X-ray,
Yes.
a hole on the skull.
Incredible.
So, and then his watch resisted to all kind of shocks.
Yes.
And this is why there was this new development of a new polo watch.
But it's a very courageous watch also, because I remember the first Pablo McDonough watch that you created had a big top shield on it, and then you could see the time through 2 apertures, which was for him to wear on his wrist while he was playing.
Yes.
Now, when you've moved now to a piece of sapphire, and how do you assure the shock resistance of a piece of sapphire against a polo ball?
So the problem that we face, we have beautiful mechanics,
Sure.
we have beautiful movements, and it's a pity, I always consider it was a pity to hide them.
Sure.
So,
You're an exhibitionist.
kind of.
Okay, I like that.
Kind of,
Sure.
exhibitionist. And this is why I decided we should study the possibility of developing an armored glass.
Sure. And armored glass, I love that. That's so cool.
Yeah. But after that, when you say that,
Yeah.
it's okay, but to develop it is extremely complex because
Sure.
our glasses are curved
Yes.
and the radius is not constant.
In fact,
the
every
radius
single spot
change-
is different.
Yes. So you have to imagine a glass with a special curve for the glass that is down.
Yes.
Then you have a layer. Then you have the upper glass that has also to be exactly to a micron the same radius than the glass below. It's a pure headache. So it took 2 years of development.
Sure.
But at the end, we couldn't break the watch with the normal pendulum.
So the Mouton pendule, you couldn't break.
no.
You couldn't break the glass
No,
with that.
we had to take
how
a
does this,
hammer.
How does this glass differ from the sapphire that you would find in any other Richard Mille watch?
No, a sapphire is a normal sapphire. I mean,
So this is actually armored glass then.
armor glass. Yes.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So this is a first in the watchmaking industry.
Yes.
That's incredible.
Yes. The problem, of course, you find armor glass
Yes.
for windows at the boutiques,
Sure.
etc.
Bulletproof
etc.
windows, those kind of things.
Yes, but
Huge
at-
panes of it.
yes,
And not
at this
curved.
size,
yes. Oh, that's so cool.
it's kind of challenge.
That's amazing. And how did
Yeah.
you manage to source this armored glass?
No,
or
but,
source someone that could cut it?
Yes, and the problem, as I said, is to cap the glass below exactly at the same region than the top glass.
Yes.
And when you can imagine that the two pieces have to fit very well together, because when you put the layer, it has to be, the transparency has to be, we have
Perfect.
also not only an objective of resistance, but we have an objective of transparency.
That's right.
And
That's right.
this is just fantastic. And when we could break the glass with a hammer, the glass was like kind of broken, but totally intact.
Intact. Right.
And
Like
we
bulletproof
tested the
glass.
watch. We tested the watch.
Like
We
bullet-
tested the watch. The water resistant. The water resistant was
Perfect. That's amazing.
Which is also important because
Yes.
we have a 5 years warranty. Any problem, when you break the watch, you have pieces coming inside, scratches, rust, etc. Here, you just need to change the glass, but the integrity of the watch is done.
You know, that's just only part of the innovation represented by this watch, because you've also become the master of isolating the movement, and in particular the tourbillon or the oscillator, from shock.
Yes.
So in many different solutions that you've used over the past, such as you've integrated the bridges of
Yes.
carbon fiber into the carbon case band, and in the RM27-01, which is one of my favorite watches, you've also used cable suspension.
Yes.
So what system have you used here, Richard?
No, here we used again the cables, but in a totally different way.
Yes.
Because we test at the same time. We love to do pieces of art, and for me it was very important to do a very resistant but a very aesthetic piece. And this piece is made a bit like a bridge, so it's very architectural. And for me, the fact that it is extremely resistant but at the same time beautiful and architectural, it's a piece of art, is really for me an issue. I love to mix,
It's extraordinary.
as I say, extreme performance, extreme resistance, but also beauty.
Yes, but every aesthetic decision that you've taken in general
Yeah.
has also been defined by extreme performance as well.
Exactly.
For example, some of my favorite watches like the 9, the highly skeletonized aluminum lithium movement, which has got an I-beam construction for extra stiffness.
Yes.
This was to create shock resistance and rigidity.
Exactly.
The carbon fiber base plates were to create shock resistance and rigidity.
Yes.
The cables were to isolate the shock.
Yes.
So in some ways you could say that this high research into creating incredible technical solutions also gives you the language of beauty, yes?
Yes, and also the language of lifestyle.
Yes.
Because I love to do watches that you don't put in a safe waiting for the next generation.
I love this.
But watches to live with.
Yes.
It's very important to do, again, extremely performant pieces, but also watches with great comfort, easy to wear, very cool watches. And this is why people are totally mad about the brand, because the brand represents exactly that.
I got to ask you a question which is interesting because, I've been a watch collector for some time. You know that I have enormous affection for Richard Mille, and on record, it's probably my favorite brand in the world. You know this. But it's not just a brand. And part of the reason why I love this brand so much also is because even though the watches are costly by virtue of the extreme technology that goes into it, the people that wear them, first of all, love to wear them, love to participate in life, and in addition to that, are cool, right? They're nice people. I've told you these stories about how I come to your gatherings, and people are so friendly, and they want to talk about watches and exchange watches, and they're warm. And I think, for me, this comes from you. I think they take their cue from you because you're this type of person.
No, it's also, I am myself extremely passionate, and
Yes.
passion can be shared very easily. And I think the common denominator to our clients
Yes.
is that they are totally passionate.
Yes, absolutely.
It's incredible the number of clients you meet that say, this brand is making me cuckoo. I love this brand to an extreme you cannot imagine.
Yes.
And the number of clients that we have got, that have got tens and tens of mill watches,
Yes.
is not only a problem of money power,
Sure.
but it's really passion.
Yes.
And I love that,
Yes,
because I always say our clients, like us, sometimes we are in shorts, we are boys. And
Absolutely.
we are passionate and genuinely passionate in a world, a luxury world that is very commercial.
Indeed, but you know.
So we are genuine.
But that's the thing, you know, and not just clients, but people who have seen everything in the world, who are in themselves extreme athletes, people who have seen the greatest technological advances. For example, Mark Cavendish, who you're working
Yes.
with, who was already a watch collector, is racing the most high-tech bicycles, is exposed pretty much to everything. And the moment he met you, and the moment you passed him an RM11 carbon fiber to wear while he was racing,
He was in tears.
He started to cry.
Yeah,
correct?
he was in
I mean,
tears.
tell me about this moment, you know?
No, it was very genuine. Something I had my watch on the wrist, and I went to the Tour de France.
Yes.
And my friend Yann Lemonnier, who is the CEO of the Tour,
Yes.
tell me, who is your favorite rider? I said, oh, I love Mark Cavendish, because Mark Cavendish, he's not only a legend, but he's very interesting personality.
great guy.
He's exactly except a robot.
Yeah.
He's a warrior.
Yes.
He's enfant terrible, we call
Enfant
it.
terrible,
Enfant
yeah,
terrible.
yes,
And he's a
he's a
legend.
passionate guy, yes.
And he's so passionate.
Yeah.
So Jan went into the bus of his team, saying that I was outside. He came out. He said, "You know what is my night bed table?"
Yes.
I say, "The Richard Mille book." I dream
incredible.
every day. I dream about Richard Mille.
That's incredible.
And they say, I took the watch, I give it to him, I say, Mark, it will bring you good luck.
Oh,
and the following day, he won the stage.
Amazing. That's incredible. Okay.
And there was a nice story, if you remember. You sent me, at that time it was SMS, we were not already on the WhatsApp.
Yes.
The day the Luxembourg guy,
Schleck.
Andy Schleck,
Yes.
he went to do the stage in l'Alpe d'Huez
Yes.
with the Nadal watch on the wrist.
Yes, I remember that.
And he said to me, can you lend it to me for the day? I say, I can do that. Only if tonight you're in yellow jersey. You know?
And he was.
And
He won that- he won
and
that
the
stage.
night he went into
Yes.
yellow jersey. So the night I had to take the watch back because I was coming back. He said,
He
hey,
lost
what
the
about
jersey."
tomorrow? He lost the jersey the following day.
Amazing. And I remember also this amazing image of Mark Cavendish crossing the finish line. I think when he had his fourth stage victory,
Yes.
and he's going like this,
Yeah,
and you can see the
with
watch.
the watch. Exactly.
Fantastic. Okay, so last thing, Richard, I'd like to present you with the 2017 Brand of the Year Award for Revolution
Mamma
magazine.
mia.
Now-
I am speechless.
No, but you know,
I
listen,
don't know if I deserve.
No, you absolutely deserve it. And actually, you deserve more than this because you're not a watch brand. You know, you are a pioneer, you are a trailblazer, you're an incredible man, and you have defined the whole...
I am another enfant terrible.
You are an enfant terrible, but by virtue of that, you have the courage to define a whole new era in watchmaking where there is no compromise for performance, and you define an aesthetic which is often repeated and is often imitated, but can never be equaled. So, Richard, it is a pleasure.
Merci, bébé.